Hey, okay, welcome back. Today, I really want to talk about one of the biggest myths or one of the bigger myths that I see really floating around the nutrition space or the wellness space, which is grazing and snacking throughout the day or eating these small, frequent meals is going to help keep your metabolism revved up and overall boost its function. Also, I've heard this as well, where eating these small, frequent little meals throughout the day is going to help to manage your blood sugar. But in reality, what if I told you that that kind of advice, the snacking or constantly eating these small meals, is probably actually working against you and hurting your ability to improve your metabolic function? So, in functional medicine, we really look at the body as a whole, as all of your systems being super interconnected. And when it comes to blood sugar and metabolism, this grazing is what I call it, this constant eating throughout the day is really not doing you any favors. It can in turn actually be sabotaging your body's ability to really burn fat and regulate energy levels. So I want to talk about a little bit of information behind the biochemistry of what happens to your body when you're constantly in grazing mode or snacking throughout the day or eating these little meals or whatever you want to call it. It's all grazing. And essentially every single time you eat, your blood sugar rises. By the way, this is totally normal and it should happen and it's part of your physiology. I think we're so afraid these days about blood sugar rising. It's totally normal, and we want that to happen. We want a nice little blood sugar rise after we eat. What happens is your pancreas releases insulin in order to shuttle that sugar into cells. Insulin's important for this. Again, we're also afraid of this hormone. It's nothing to be afraid of. It actually has a job to do, which is to shuttle that energy into your cells or to storage, potentially. But what's happening when you're grazing or you're snacking or you're eating small meals throughout the day is you're keeping your insulin levels high all day long. We want an insulin release. We want a little blood sugar rise after we eat. What we don't want is consistent insulin levels to be high all day. And that's really what's happening. And here's kind of the kicker is when insulin levels are high like that all day long, your body's ability to really burn fat for fuel shuts off. And it does go into, you can call it storage mode. So grazing actually does more to keep your body on this blood sugar roller coaster because you snack, your blood sugar rises, and then it'll crash shortly after, and then it'll have you reaching for another snack, and then your blood sugar rises, and then you crash, and you're constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down, constantly releasing insulin throughout the day. So this severely messes with your energy levels, but it also really exhausts your adrenals, and it stresses your nervous system because these blood sugar rises and crashes and falls put and release a lot of cortisol into our body, which really, again, stresses your adrenals and your nervous system responsible for that stress response. Now, the caveat to all of this is that the frequency at which you eat your meals and the frequency at which you eat in general is actually a lot more personalized than I think the nutrition world wants to put out there. There's all these rules around blood sugar, around how frequently we should be eating or not eating, or the size of our meals, or all of those things. But actually, in reality, in everything that we do, we know that the body is so unique. Everyone has personalized and a unique response to the environment and the information that we're giving the body. So it really depends on how efficiently your body is turning food into that fuel. How quickly does your body use up that energy? And what is your unique metabolic rate? These are all really important questions that we need to be asking in order to determine how to best support metabolic health, blood sugar management, etc. And we're kind of missing the mark completely when we're giving these blanketed recommendations for frequency at which we should be eating. So all of these things, how your body actually efficiently turns food into fuel, your metabolism, it's influenced by a lot of different factors. So it's influenced by things like your metabolic type, which can change depending on how much stress you're under, okay? Your stress levels, and also how well your body processes nutrients, absorbs nutrients, and how deficient you potentially are. So for some individuals, going 4 to 5 hours in between meals is perfectly manageable. So they won't experience those big drastic blood sugar drops. They won't kick in insulin consistently throughout the day. They're not releasing cortisol, and they can go longer in between meals. Their body essentially can efficiently store and use the energy from meals. So it leads to more sustained energy levels. However, there are others of us, and especially those that are in or stuck in a chronic state of stress or in this kind of fight or flight mode, you actually may be burning through nutrients much faster. So the result of that is the need to eat potentially more like every 3 hours instead of every 5 hours to avoid these big energy crashes and to keep metabolism steady. So it is very personalized. And I want to talk just for a second about the people that are really kind of stuck in this state of chronic stress, because I see this more often than not with the women that I work with. Is your body, and a lot of bodies are stuck in a fight or flight response. So when we're in a heightened state of fight or flight, our metabolism is often accelerated. So you may think you actually have a slow metabolic function because you're experiencing symptoms where you're like, oh, I have my slow metabolism because I have stubborn weight gain or all this stuff. But in reality, what's potentially happening is you're actually having a metabolic function that's accelerated. You have a lot of stress hormones present, like cortisol, that consistently raise your blood sugar, that are providing you with quick energy for emergency situations. But when this becomes a chronic state, it's really depleting your nutrient and mineral reserves very quickly. As a result, what I see typically is hangry is often something and a word that someone would use to describe you. You get very agitated, irritated when you're hungry. So you may even feel hungrier sooner. You may often want to reach for snacks because otherwise your energy starts to really crash. And oftentimes we're then reaching for something like a sugary carb, something to give us. That's what we're craving because our body's looking for that quick energy, even though your body isn't truly in need of more fuel. So again, this is what I would consider somebody stuck in this fight or flight response, in this stress response, really has what we would call a fast metabolic type. And again, this can vary. This can switch throughout your life. You're not stuck in these metabolic types, but if you are in a state of chronic stress where cortisol is high, you most likely have a fast metabolic type. And for people that have this kind of typing, you're naturally burning through calories more quickly. You're needing to eat more frequently in order to maintain energy levels and blood sugar balance. But still, I want to stress the fact that even if you're in this state where you're extremely mineral nutrient depletion because you're burning through things very quickly, this does not equate the constant grazing. This does not mean that you should still be eating these frequent, small, little snacky meals throughout the day. It's so crucial, especially for those that are stuck in this fight or flight response, that you're responding to hunger with a full, balanced meal and not just small snacks. It may mean that you need to eat a full, balanced meal more often. You might be someone that's like not eating 3 full meals a day, but maybe you're eating something like 4 full meals a day. Not just these small snacks. What's happening when we're eating these small snacks instead to just ward off hunger, they're not providing the nutrients that your body's super depleted in because you're burning through them at a faster rate. And also, you're not getting a full protein-rich meal that's actually signaling your hunger hormones that you're full, that satiety has happened. So what ends up happening is this leads to a cycle of short-lived satisfaction. Again, frequent snacking on these kind of high energy snacks, which often tend to be like the very carb heavy, sugary snacks that keep your blood sugar super erratic, and it does not support your hormone balance or metabolic health. So we need to be responding fully to hunger. This is whether you're a fast metabolic type and need to respond fully to hunger more frequently throughout the day, or you're more in a slow metabolic type and you can go longer without needing a meal, without getting hungry. You still need to be responding fully to hunger to optimize blood sugar and metabolism. So you want to eat a full meal and to satiety, to fullness, every time you're truly hungry. One that is rich in protein and nutrient-dense foods. This is what's going to help regulate your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, okay? And this practice ensures that you aren't just feeding off hunger with quick, unsatisfying snacks, but instead you're providing your body with the minerals and the nutrients that it needs to keep your blood sugar levels stable and metabolism functioning well. If you are somebody that is in that fast metabolic type and you're burning through things quickly and your body's stressed and you're nutrient depleted, responding this way with these full meals, eventually your body's hormones, your body's hunger hormones, your cues to when you're full, when you're satisfied, when your metabolism is working optimally, these things will balance out. Okay, so this will actually help support you in the long run to be able to eat maybe it's less frequently, to have blood sugar that's much more managed and stable so you're not getting hangry, to have a metabolism that's firing efficiently, turning that food into fuel because now you're providing it with the nutrients that it actually needs. We need to start listening to our hunger signals and stop fending off hunger with these little snacks and actually respond till we're full and satisfied. When we start to do this, and this isn't something, for example, we can test where your metabolic type is. And I actually have a quiz you can take. I'll link it in the comments below, in the caption below, so you can take the quiz if you're interested to find out where you are, if you're a fast metabolic type or a slow metabolic type. But honestly, at the end of the day, yes, we can test for this, but if you start to respond to your body with these full meals, what you're going to learn is what your body's unique needs are for fuel. So I could tell you, eat every 2.5 to 3 hours or eat every 5 hours, and that might not work for you. So we need to start to figure out, getting curious, tapping into what our bodies truly need. And by doing this, by responding to your hunger in this way, you'll learn very quickly what your needs are to support true metabolic health and regulate your blood sugar without needing to consistently graze throughout the day. I think there is a part of all of this where we've gotten so disconnected from our the way that we should be eating to support metabolic health because of this fear of eating more. I've worked with so many women that have actually like called me and been like, hey, I just feel very uncomfortable. I'm feeling very full and I feel like there's something wrong once we start working together. And it becomes very apparent that women are actually not used to the feelings of full, what that actually feels like, what it feels like to be satiated. And it's a scary feeling because we've been largely fueled by diet culture for decades that have taught women that less food is the key to weight loss and a happier, better, healthier life, because weight loss is the best thing in the world. That means you're healthy. But what it does is it leads, and it's led many of us to associate feelings of being full with guilt and fear and shame and all of these things. So what we've ended up doing is completely ignoring our hunger hormones, which are so important for our overall metabolic health, and we end up eating enough to fend off hunger, and we never fully nourish our bodies. So this actually over time really impacts our metabolic function and our body's ability to efficiently get energy from the food that we're eating, and it really throws off hunger hormones, our ability to trust our body's signals, which is really causing a lot of downstream effects, because with metabolism, at the end of the day, this energy that we're getting from our food is what's responsible for everything else in our body. It's what's responsible for our sex hormone production and being able to support a healthy cycle. It's what's responsible for growing our hair and our nails. It's obviously what's responsible for maintaining a healthy weight, but also things like skin and a detoxification system that can handle the environment that we're living in and not cause all sorts of autoimmune issues and things of that nature. So metabolism at its core is so important, and when we're eating in this way, we're keeping things out of whack. Specifically, I want to talk about how this does really impact your hunger hormones. So ghrelin and leptin, two hormones that get no attention whatsoever, but they're so important. And leptin, for example, leptin is the hormone that actually signals to your brain when you're full, when you have enough energy stored. Ghrelin tells you when you're hungry. So when you're grazing all day, when you're snacking all day, leptin actually doesn't get the chance to rise properly. So you never truly feel satisfied. Meanwhile, ghrelin over here never drops. So you're constantly feeling like you need to eat more. So it's a really vicious cycle that can lead to the fatigue, weight gain, disrupted hormonal systems, etc., that you're probably experiencing. So now let's switch. Let's talk about the alternative, which is feasting. So we've talked a lot about grazing and why it's not good. I've mentioned how we want to respond with full balanced meals, but what I call this is actually feasting. So our bodies were actually designed to eat these bigger, more nutrient dense meals that provide lasting energy. So when you sit down for a full meal, something that's packed with protein and whole food carbohydrates, you're actually stabilizing your blood sugar for hours, which is what we want. This keeps overall your insulin levels lower. It keeps our body more sensitive to insulin. So when we do eat and we get that, again, very natural blood sugar rise, our cells are super sensitive to that insulin. We get all the energy that we need shuttled into our cells, and we're good. This is what we want. We want a stable blood sugar that then comes down. We have nice lasting energy. We're not getting any big dips or spikes. And insulin levels pretty much stay at a lower place throughout the rest of the day in between your meals. And what that does, it actually does allow your body to access fat stores, energy storage, and burn them for energy, which is super important for, yes, maintaining a healthy weight, but also for proper hormone production, for proper digestion, all of those other processes that metabolism is responsible for. Now, there's a whole other layer to this when we're talking about blood sugar and how stress plays a role, because with blood sugar, with insulin, with all of these things that we're talking about today, stress really does matter. So cortisol, when your blood sugar crashes from grazing or snacking, especially on like high carb, low nutrient dense foods, your body's going to have to release cortisol in order to bring your blood sugar back up. So this does trigger a stress response, and it will continue to keep your body in that fight or flight state, and that will continue to deplete. You'll continue to burn through minerals and nutrients quicker. You'll stay in this cycle of then wanting more high carby, sugary snacks. This constantly high cortisol, it not only leads to fat storage particularly around the belly, but it also kind of wreaks havoc on all of our other hormones like estrogen and thyroid as well. So you want to allow yourself, when you properly allow yourself to sit down and feast, you're actually engaging the parasympathetic part of your nervous system. So your sympathetic nervous system is the part keeping you stuck in fight or flight with the cortisol and the blood sugar, erratic blood sugar, and all those things. But when you sit down for a proper meal and you're allowing yourself to feast and eat till full satiety, no matter how many times you've eaten today, okay, you're actually activating your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode. So when we're constantly snacking, we're in sympathetic nervous system mode, the fight or flight mode. So this is keeping us kind of constantly activated and making it really hard to regulate and manage your blood sugar and metabolism. So sitting down and allowing your body to feast is a really important part of exercising that parasympathetic nervous system rest and digest, which is, again, so important for all metabolic function. So the takeaway here from all of this is to feast, don't graze. We want to be feasters, not grazers. And if you're somebody that's struggling with energy, cravings, weight gain, you should really look at if you're having kind of a grazing habit. Are you constantly looking for healthy snacks? Are you constantly kind of like, what are the recipes? I feel like I just need to snack. I need more snack ideas. That would be a really good sign to lean into that and kind of examine, like, are you somebody that's consistently grazing and relying on these snacks for energy? And then what I would switch is try to embrace the bigger meals. Try to embrace eating till full satiety every single time that you're hungry. Allow your body to work the way that it's supposed to and turn back on those hunger hormones and those cues that are really supporting your metabolism, your nervous system, your blood sugar. Feasting really does allow your metabolism to work efficiently. It keeps your blood sugar stable. It supports hormones. So I highly recommend you give it a try for a few weeks and see how much better you feel. That's, again, all you're doing, all you need to do every time you're hungry. Respond by sitting down and eating a full meal that has protein as its focus. That's what you're going to do time and time again for a couple of weeks and see what happens, okay? And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Check out my other videos on blood sugar, on carbs for blood sugar. That's a super important topic that ties into this as well for hormonal health. And drop a comment below if you I'd love to hear if you find yourself a grazer or a feaster, how that's working, how that swap's working, and let's have a conversation. And like I said, I'm gonna also drop a metabolic function quiz in the comments so that you can take that. You can start to see where your metabolism is currently right now. Are you fast? Are you slow? Where might be a good place to start for how frequently you actually should be eating. So that's my recommendation for you to get started, and we'll see you next time.